Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and today we're going to go over my predictions for Saturday's Survivor Series. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, as not only do I produce weekly wrestling content here on this channel, but I will be live streaming Survivor Series this Saturday starting at 5:30, as Survivor Series does have a special start time of 6 o'clock. Something they kept hammering home on Raw. They kept repeating that. And I will be here live for my reaction and all of what will go down, and I'll talk about it after the show as well. So I hope to see you all on Saturday. So, before we get to Survivor Series, I do want to talk about Monday Night Raw. Because, man, that New Day segment, man. Dude, Kofi and Xavier, that segment, man, backstage was so good. You could see just the passion and just how they're just done. They're tired of each other. They're ready to move on. What is this 10-year celebration going to be? I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm more hyped for that. I kind of wish, we could get past Survivor Series so I could see what's going to happen on Raw. Because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to turn heel. After what we saw on Monday, where they're just taking jabs at each other, Xavier saying, oh, you only became champion because of me. And Kofi taking jabs at Xavier, saying how he's never won a singles title. Man, that whole thing has me hyped. I know it's going to be a festival of friendship type of segment. It's going to be a heartbreaker seeing the New Day split up. But I'm pumped. I'm excited for it. But let's talk about Survivor Series, alright? We have 5 matches on the card. It is a little bit rushed. WWE has kind of just thrown a lot of stuff together. They rushed the reunion of the Bloodline. The whole thing with Jade Cargill getting taken out. Bayley apparently being the replacement for Jade Cargill, even though that could have actually used a couple weeks of more storyline development. It's not just it's not on the same level of Paul Heyman returning and bringing back CM Punk to be on the Bloodline. It works as a short term, okay, we can believe that. But I feel with the way Bianca has been acting around Damage Control, around Bayley, it definitely needed some more time, more story development. So I don't know what we did as fans, but Triple H has given us both mid-card titles. So let's go ahead and get started with the Intercontinental Championship, in which I did a video talking about the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which this was before they announced it, but I did talk about who could be the first champion. You can check that out here. But the Intercontinental Championship, I almost said LA Knight. The Intercontinental Championship, ladies and gentlemen, triple threat match. Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. Now, I really like this spot for Ludwig Kaiser, because he's always been kind of seen as Gunther's henchman. So I do like that they haven't given him opportunities to shine on his own. And I kind of hope that, I don't think he's going to win, but if they wanted to pull a fast one where maybe Braun gets the title back, on Raw or at Saturday night's main event, perhaps you could have Ludwig Kaiser steal it in in a roll-up or something. But Sheamus, to me, he's still chasing the Intercontinental title. It's the one title he hasn't won in his career. And I think To me, Sheamus should be the one to take the title off of Braun Breaker, say at WrestleMania. So I don't think it should be yet. I don't think it should be a Survivor Series. So I'm going to go Braun Breaker to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Let's move on to the United States Championship with LA Knight, defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. Again, a lot of this card is just rushed. I don't know if it's because they had Crown Jewels, so they didn't have a lot of time to build to this show, but again, Shinsuke's kind of been back for 2 weeks, and they already given him a title match. To me, this is a hit or miss. Like, if Shinsuke loses clean, this new character is done. If there's a dirty finish in which there's like a disqualification, then you can probably salvage it. But I feel like this match should have been saved for like Saturday night's main event. So I'm going to go LA Knight, to win by disqualification. I think that's the best way to book this match and to preserve whatever this new character is for Shinsuke Nakamura. Next up, we got the World Heavyweight Championship as all of a sudden, Cat's got his tongue. World Champion Gunther defends against Damian Priest. Now, I don't know if they're trying to show like he's vulnerable, that there's a vulnerable side to Gunther, but I don't know if that works for his character. That's like the only thing. I think I've seen that a lot from fans, is that like they understand like, hey, we have to show that he's vulnerable, but I just don't know if it works for his character. I think that's probably the general consensus among fans. And Damian Priest has been pretty good too. I think Damian's he's done a pretty good job. I think he's recovered well. I think it's kind of one of those things where as world champion, he never really clicked, but it wasn't until after he lost the title that I think they were able to finally get Damian where they wanted him to be. So Gunther is going to retain here. And, what's Damian Priest going to do after that? I don't know. Hopefully not feud with the Judgment Day. I hope not. Let's talk about the women's War Games match. Because, like I said, this whole thing feels kind of rushed. Jada Cargill apparently is dealing with a legitimate injury. There was reports that she could be out for up to a year, depending on the severity of it, which would suck because that would mean she would be missing WrestleMania 41. In the same vein that Charlotte Flair got injured around this time last year, and she ended up missing WrestleMania 40. So Bayley is now going to be the replacement, and I don't know if it's like I guess it's official, but like not official. Like, does Bianca finally trust Bayley? Because obviously the whole dynamic of the baby faces right now is Rhea didn't care who the fifth member was. She just wants to tear Liv Morgan limb from limb. Bianca is kind of still questionable on Bayley. Like, she still has not forgiven Bayley or Io Sky for the stuff with damage control. So, there's a whole dynamic of that. Plus, you got the heel side of it, where you got both world champions on the same team with Miss Money in the Bank also on that same team. And I talked about this here. It could very well be Tiffy time at Survivor Series. And so there's a lot of elements at play on both sides of the equation in this match, which makes it hard to predict because I could see it going either way. And I think for me, I'm going to pick the I want to pick the baby faces to win. But I think the baby faces are going to win. But there's going to be tension between Bayley and everybody else following Survivor Series because they're going to be doing the whole who done it storyline and who attacked Jade Cargill. Which means one of the champions are going to be laid out. Most likely, one of them is going to eat the pin, either Nia Jax or Liv Morgan. And you know what that means? Tiffy time. I'm also predicting Tiffany Stratton to cash in her Money in the Bank contract and leave Survivor Series with one of the women's championships. And like I said, I already talked about it in another video. But yeah, I am predicting that it is going to happen. Now, the men's WarGames match is a match that, man, similar to the women's side, there's a lot of things going on. Because I feel like the OG bloodline is going to win. But there's also that equation. There's also the Rock potentially showing up. You got Seth Rollins, who will probably be irate that they picked CM Punk after he declined them, teaming with them. And then you got the idea that Paul Heyman could very well turn on the OG bloodline. A lot of people pointed out, when Paul Heyman made that return on SmackDown, his suit and his color choice was very similar to Solo Sikoa. Now, could it be mind games and with Solo? Maybe. But I think barring a Paul Heyman heel turn, a Seth Rollins getting involved and costing them the match because he's upset because CM Punk was chosen, or The Rock showing up and costing the OG bloodline in order to set up Rock and Roman for WrestleMania, I am picking the OG bloodline to win. I mean, maybe The Rock will show up at the end of Survivor Series and do this again. 3. I don't know. Who knows? But, yeah. Those are my predictions for Survivor Series. What do you think will happen at Survivor Series? Comment below. Let me know what you think will happen. Do you see a heel turn from Paul Heyman? Do you think The Rock will show up? And do you think Tiffany Stratton could cash in the same way that I think she will? Leave your comment below. And, once again, join me Saturday for live coverage of Survivor Series right here on the channel. I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.
Ringside Cinema, where the battles roar. Ringside Cinema, legends at the core. Tune in, feel the rush. Wrestling meets the screen. Ringside Cinema, living out the dream. Living out the dream. Living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers for heroes we know. Ringside forever bold. Wrestling never gets old.